One of the frequently asked questions when building web maps and story maps is, how do I find data that can be used to create maps? And there are a number of different ways in which we can find and use data. To add data to our map, we simply go to this Add option, and you notice that you have 5 different methods by which you can add data to your map. We're going to explore the Browse Living Atlas layers, Add Layer from File, and Add Map Notes. Let's start with the Living Atlas layers. The Living Atlas has pre-built data sets available to you. Some of it is provided by Esri, and other data sets are provided by other external entities. If we take a look at what we have here, we can just hover over any one of these options to see what it is. We can also do searches if we're looking for particular data. For instance, I'm interested in demographic data. Again, we can hover over each one of them to see what it is, and if it meets what we are looking for, we can add it to our map. And I'm going to add the USA average household income to the map as a data layer. Notice it comes over here in my table of contents, and I can continue adding more data should I wish to. And I'm not going to, so I'm going to hit close. Now that the data is added to the map, it really doesn't look very much like anything except one color. But as we start zooming into the data, let's say zooming into Pennsylvania, notice that the geography starts to get smaller. We're now on the county level rather than the state level. As we continue to zoom in, you're going to notice that the geography will change once again. Just takes a few zooms to get to there. Now we are actually at the zip code level, and if you click on any one polygon, you'll see and find out some information about it. We see which zip code this is and what their average household income is. So this method is the easiest and quickest way to get data on the map without really having to look too terribly hard. This particular method is really great if you're looking for things like demographic data and geology data and so on. So I encourage you to spend some time looking at what is available in that Living Atlas. I'm going to remove this, and then let's talk about the second way in which we can add data. We can add data by adding layer from file, and we have 4 different types of files that can be added from file, a shape file or a zipped shape file, which is essentially GIS data for those of you that aren't familiar with the GIS file format. You can also add it as a CSV or text file that has addresses or latitude, longitude coordinates in it, or you can add a GPX file, which is GPS data. I'm going to add a shape file, and I simply click on Choose File, and I navigate to the folder where my zip file is located. And you can see I have a number of different zipped files in here. The one that I'm going to add is going to be for Pennsylvania school districts. So I'm going to single click on it, hit open, and then select Import Layer. And this may take a moment or two, depending how large the data set is. And so this will just take a minute here. Notice now that the school districts are added to the map. Now it's wanting me to do make a couple of different decisions. The first is to decide what attribute will be like the label, and I want the school name to be the label there. And notice that that changes then in the legend. We can then select how we want the data to draw, whether we want each school district to be a different color or we want them all to be symbolized the same way. And I'm going to do them all the same way. And I'm just going to create these so that we're just seeing the boundary of the various school districts. I'm going to make the width a little larger just so we can see it easily enough. I'm going to hit OK here and done. Now, if I zoom in, I can see that my school district data is added to the map. And if I click on any one of these, you're going to see the information that was available in the table that came along with the shapefile. So that is the second way of adding data. You're probably wondering where you might find shapefiles. The three places I would suggest looking for them are on the POSDA website, on the PennDOT Open Portal website, and the DCNR Open Portal site, and links will be provided for them in this story map. So then finally, the last way to add data to the map is by adding map notes. And this is what allows us just to click on screen to create our data. So let's say that we want to create data showing the locations of, let's say, various schools within our school district. I'm going to click Create. And it's going to ask you what type of symbol and what type of feature that you want to create, whether you want to create points, lines, or different types of polygons. And I'm just going to add these as points. So I select the stick pin, and then I come over to my map and decide where I want to place that stick pin. And I'm just making this up. I'm just going to say that, hey, there's a school here. We click there, and then we name this school, whatever it might be called. I'm just going to make up a name. And then we can put a description in the pop-up that tells us what it is. And then if you want to link an image to this, you can just provide the image URL in here and then hit close. And then when we're all done with adding our points, we can then save it. And you'll note that when we go to click on our point, we see the little pop-up that we created, and we only put a title in there, so that's why we see that. But again, you can add images and descriptions to each one of those. So this option here does give you a lot of flexibility because it just allows you to click on screen to add the data that you might want to add. So those are the three most popular methods to add data. I encourage you to explore trying each one of these methods.